What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, possibly most rewardable character to ever play in a video game since Mario's favorite nerd. And today we are looking at Planet X's Grimlock from Fall of Cybertron. And this bad boy is a beast. I love the T-Rex mode. I'm going to get this like kind of straight out of the way. Well, we'll talk about accessories. Well, no, we'll get this out of the way. This is my daughter's Grimlock. I don't know if she has it transformed right. Don't care. So how does that rattle your little cages? But anyway, I mean, I hated this thing when she initially got it, and I don't think much of it now. That was cool, but yeah, it just pales in comparison, in my opinion. True, it should because of the price point. I think it even pales at a $20, $25 price point. So, on to this fella. He comes with these two accessories, flaming sword, used with translucent plastics, which actually get more translucent towards the blade. Nice touch. We don't see little decisions like that very often with Transformer toys, you know, and it's nice to see them do that. We see it in some of the like Japanese import toys, but not so much with Transformers. It's nice to see. I like it. I dig it. I want some more of it. All this sculpt work and stuff looks nice. It's got the little plug-in bits so you can plug it in and do all that sort of nonsense, but whatever, it's still a very nice accessory. The shield is also nice, very game accurate. Kind of has reminiscent of the Autobot symbol in there, you know what I mean? Like kind of just enough to scoot by, do you know what I mean? I applaud them for that. Very nice handle and so forth. I don't know if there's a way for this to stow besides putting it on his hip, but it's a good accessory. So this is on loan to me from Lance, as I've spoken before, and I'm very appreciative of letting me take a look at it. I know people wanted to hear my thoughts on this series, so without much further ado, let's get into it. I really like the T-Rex mode. I think I had a buddy of mine, Adam Russman, over recently from Nerd Rage Radio, and he was turned off by it at first. You know, he was like, ugh, and I was like, yeah, but it's from the game, and he started thinking about how it looks in the game, and it is pretty spot on. You know, it's very nice. I have a couple issues with it. We'll get into it. The head is on a hinge here. It also, like, pulls out a bit, and then you can get a little bit of a turn. I would have preferred more, but I think it's fine. It would have been nice to have a bit more. And this turns here a confused dog look for those that are into that. So you get the swivel, you get the hinge, and you get an additional hinge here, which I think actually might be a ball joint, but it just acts as a swivel. And we'll push that back. So you get the jaw that extends to a nice angle. You get this mounted little flame-throwing thing in there. Like, how cool was it when you got to turn into the T-Rex in that game? I kind of hid myself from spoilers in that game, and I was very excited to get to this sort of portion. Teeth are all painted. All the red is painted. We got translucent red for the eyes, and the place where a symbol may go or may not, depending on your sensibilities. Moving down the figure, we got red paint on there. That looks nice. We have this brown paint here. It doesn't match really that well. I meant to point that out with Snarl, but on a shelf, I don't think it'll bother you in the least. And they don't sit very close together. Like the plastic bits and the painted bits don't sit very close together, so that certainly doesn't hurt either. Red, all the red, like there is a fair amount of paint on this guy. All those little red spots down in there. They didn't have to do that. If they just did the big one, people wouldn't have said a word. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I would have, but most people wouldn't have said a word, and they did, so that's nice. Silver finish on the arms. The arms themselves are on a swivel into the torso. Here, they're on a hinge here, which gets you a good range. And then you got a hinge here at the elbow, getting you the full spread. And then the fingers, I believe, are on a hinge. But I don't want to... Yeah, it's the bottom one. Ooh, maybe it's... Yeah, it's the top two. It's very tight. So I'm not going to mess with that too much, but it is there. All right, moving down, we got the hips. This moves because of transformation. We'll get into that later, but you got a hinge here, moving outward. Decent spread. You can't really go too far out with Grimlock because nobody's worked out a way to not hide the hand up in there the same way that we're used to seeing it. So this is a bit different, granted, but in general, so you can't get the rocker in there because of the hand engineering. So it's never really that big of a deal to put it, in my opinion, to have the gate, so to speak, go out that far anyway. And then you get the swivel that's built into this hinge at the torso. You get a thigh swivel, I guess, which later becomes a bicep swivel here and here. And then you get the knee, which later becomes the elbow here. It is double jointed, but they did a little bit of sculpt work there, so it doesn't totally destroy it. But if you do go to the full spread, you do see a little bit of gappage. Not a big deal. Wouldn't bother me in the least. Just pointing it out. And then a bit of an ankle tilt. Once again, no rocker, but the tilt is a nice touch. And actually, because of the tilt, you can kind of get them in some more of a walking pose, if that's your thing. Usually I like them to be like kind of standing strong, so to speak, and then you have these something's not right there, but you have these front toe tilt and then the rear tilt as well. And then the tail articulates a bit. Where is it at? Yeah, at every one of these knuckles basically you get a hinge, so you can have them. Oh God, it's just really, I mean, I think like the more I mess with these, the more I'm thinking about getting them for myself. They're not perfect, but man, if they don't look the part. Do you know what I mean? There's this is a transformation thing here, but yeah, pretty cool. Very good Dino mode. I dig it. Look at all the the brown paintwork in there, the red paintwork on top. There's a lot of pride here, no doubt about it. All right, let's give it a go, shall we? Split the tail, like so. I said like so. Robert's going to kill me. Double hinge this piece right here back on top of itself. Rotate this piece over here around that way. And then we're going to, oh wait, that ain't right. Yeah, we'll leave it like that for now. Untab this. I say to untab this because I always end up forgetting to do it. Or always, done it twice. Bring down this whole section here. Now, this is on this universal joints here, so they come down. And this is where we start running into some issues. So let's try to set ourselves up for success. Fold this over, and you got to turn it here, and that's squeaky. Snarl has some squeakies too, right here, if you can see. I don't know if I had it in frame. That's on a, I'm guessing that's, I don't know why. I mean, it's a tolerance thing, but just be careful. And then get this piece, this whole, just like every other Grimlock, like the G1, like you untab it, bring it up, and then lock it back in. And then you got to deal with this. There's no getting around it. So, set yourself up for success. Fold that in. Fold that in. Same on the other side. Fold this in. Fold that in. Now, you can move the torso and you can get the arms out of the way to the best of your ability. You can fold this piece up. And this one doesn't, you don't really need to flex the plastic all that much. It goes. And I mean, if you even bring this bit up, I bet you if you, that didn't sound good, did it? Yeah, I mean, that's barely touching it to get it around. Now this one, on the other hand, this one you have to flex. From what I can tell. Now, I'm no expert, but this piece doesn't fold around. Do you see how much you have to clear? I don't watch other people's reviews, okay? But I went on and tried to look. I looked at a handful. I looked at the two biggest and the two smallest that I could find to see if they could do this. And I didn't find anyone that could do it. So I feel a little bit better knowing that I can't as well. But I looked at Mgo's. He talked about it in detail, that he couldn't get this piece to do without flexing. And then I looked at Ben's Collectibles. He said he could get it without flexing, but he only shows this one. He doesn't show this one that I could see. And I don't see a way that you can do this because this one hinges out of the way and this one doesn't. And then I looked at one that had like 170 views. He actually did a really good job. I'll get his name before I close out to give him a shout out, but he couldn't get it either. So you just gotta do what you gotta do to kind of get it around there. Just be careful and get it past. It's a pliable plastic. I don't see a stress mark. I'm assuming that this has been transformed before. There's no stress marks on it, so what ups. Fold the feet down, and we'll get to them in a minute. Straighten the legs, and then fold this and tuck this back in on both sides. And then we can separate the legs. I think that this does a better job. Yeah, right in there. There's all these hinges here, so it helps if they're lined up the best you can. There. I think that's that ain't right, is it? No, that one slides in. Okay, so this one is pegs in on the outside here, and that one slides into the inside, so to speak. Flip the heel spur out, and it's not really even a heel spur. It's like a, I don't know what this is, a foot filler, let's call it. And same on the other side. And that is the legs. So I'm going to raise the camera up a bit, and we'll work on the upper body. Now, do you remember when I told you I like to untab stuff early on because otherwise I forget? That's exactly what happened here. And we'll talk about what happened, but I don't want to put it through the squeak. So I've already done the squeaks, and we're back to this point. This piece here, you can untab. Open that up. That will loosen this piece up, which comes down on a double hinge. And collapses. This piece here folds up, which is the piece that I forgot to do. When I did it the first time, I said I'm going to untab this and untab this first to get it out of the way and make sure I remember. And I didn't do it this time, and guess what? I forgot. At that point, you can fold this, collapse this assembly, fold the dinosaur head down. Close this back up. Tab that in. Close the flap. Now you're in service. Alright, so these shoulders come down. It's on, it feels like it's on a double hinge also. It is. And get the arms oriented. Fold these up. Same on the other side. Fold these up. So there he is, armored up, and you can collapse these dinosaur hands here a bit to make them a little less unsightly. But yeah, pretty good. There is one thing I can't remember whether I mentioned it or not at this point, but the way he holds his sword is this piece moves out on a hinge, which then allows you to slide that piece up, and he holds it just fine. And then close it back up, and he holds the shield just fine. Very striking. So let's take a look at him. The head, we got some nice light piping up in there with plenty of range. Let me see if I can't give you a better. Oh, I'm losing my battery on my little light, but you know, it's there. Not the best, but not the worst, right? And the head itself is on a ball joint. Not too much down, not a little bit up. Side to side. I wish you could get more down. Hinge swivel would have been better, in my opinion. Torso and stuff all looks the part. We got red paint there, red paint on the head. The translucent helps break up the solid plastics throughout, so I'm all good with that. Shoulders, we got a swivel here, and then the hinge here, same as before with the Dino mode. And then we have a bicep swivel, and a single jointed elbow, no, double jointed elbow. I keep forgetting that because it's hidden. Which gets you really good range. Wrist swivel. The extra little tilt is locked in at this point. But wrist swivel, fingers on a base pen knuckle. And same for the other side. The paint all looks the same throughout, you know, as far as the dinosaur mode. Just breaks it up equally as well in robot mode. Waist swivel. That works fine. I wish this dinosaur head locked in. I really do. It's just like this is one of those joint inconsistency things that I've been noticing with this company. And I mean, it's going to stay there. It's got a little ledge to kind of keep it on, but the ledge doesn't really keep tension on it, and it shouldn't, because then it would tie up the waist swivel. It's just like I feel like while I'm manipulating and stuff, like he's doing a little bit of a flopping around a little bit. It's not ridiculous, but it's still, you know, less than optimal. Universal hips up to there, out to there. They should have been ratcheted. So there's that. Thigh swivel, a little low, and kind of breaks the sculpt up. It probably would have been best had it been built into that universal joint there. So there's that. And ankle tilt on a ball peg, and then the ball joint actually gets you a little bit of a rocker as well. The paint looks great on the legs, really stands out. Size comparison next to Starscream. And next to the Hasbro one. Now, the Hasbro one works a lot better in robot mode than it does in dinosaur mode, in my opinion. I don't feel like there's as big of a gap here aesthetically. Quality-wise, it's, you know how that is. But aesthetically, I don't feel like there's that big of a gap here, as at least in comparison to how big the gap is in robot mode. I mean, in dinosaur mode. Final thoughts-wise, it's a really solid effort. Couple things that I would point out is that it really should have had ratcheted hips, at least forward and back. I know that ratcheted hips are like not vogue at the moment, but I think that's because people are turned off because people don't do ratcheted hips well. They make the notches too big, where you can make the notches smaller and have a really nice set of hips, so to speak. And I wish that the joint inconsistencies weren't there. There's less of them here than we're on Snarl, but like that backpack does irritate me. Just to be honest, I think the transformation is a little less intuitive, just because of the amount of like little flaps and stuff, and having to bend that piece of plastic in order to get it around. Overall, the bending the plastic maybe not so much, but the rest of it are really, to be honest, they're nitpicks. I wish that articulation-wise, probably that the thigh swivel was built into the universal, and I wish that you got a little bit more on the feet. You can get plenty of poses, don't get me wrong, but I have put them in some where I'm like, I wish it just moved a little bit more. But I mean, the materials are solid. The paint is great. The aesthetic is nailed down. So I mean, if once again, you know, when we get to the end of this series, we're going to do a lot more in-depth final thoughts, kind of as a set. But I can't think of a reason not to recommend this guy if you collect the Fall of Cybertron stuff. I mean, it's a pretty well-made figure. There's not a lot of bad I can say about it. The articulation's pretty good for the most part. The accessories are great. Sculpt is good. You know, most of my complaints are nitpicks, so overall, I got to give him a thumbs up. Once again, I just want to shout out Lance for letting me take a look, and also shout out Sunday Heat, my Philly guy. And shout out to all the Broad Street bullies. But I just did some commission work for him. He's a pretty cool dude. Other than that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.
So we might as well talk about our next president. Because you know this is going to happen, right? Look, I don't care who's president.
I'm not surprised by that.
I've lost all faith in our political system. But you know what annoys me about this guy?
What's that? His loud, boisterous attitude is...
Somewhat.
Yes, maybe that squirrel attached to his head.
I think you summed it up, Doc. It's the irony. Like, you don't like illegal immigrants.
Yes.
You got an illegal immigrant on your head. An illegal immigrant to your body, anyway.
Yes.
His hair done had papers. I saw his hair doing work at Roy Rogers getting paid $3 under the table.
That doesn't sound above board at all.
His hair has got kids on welfare. I've seen it. And those kids going to college for free. Most educated follicles in all the lands. They're writing a book called Climbing to the Top.
Do you think that's surgery or just naturally like that?
You know, I don't know, because I've seen the wind blow it, and it makes it somehow like it stays attached, and it looks more unnatural.
Do you have tapestries?
Hey, I'll tell you, not for nothing, the drapes match the curtains, if you know what I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be the rug?
Let it go. It's fine. You knew what I was saying.
Yes.
And look, this is how I feel about the illegal immigrant situation. And just to get serious for a second.
Sure.
We need to update our naturalization process.
I agree. It's very difficult.
Okay, and then secondly...
Yes. Very difficult for my wife and I.
I bet.
Yes.
And then secondly, the other thing is, he's on these little conferences. He's always having these grand meetings, right? All the people in the crowd, they're all overjoyed. Fine. Fine. But then you call somebody fat? he's not a skinny guy.
No.
And that's my thing. Like, I think that's what pisses me off.
He's pretty large and in charge.
Well, he's gonna be. And like, look, I don't think there's a lot of great options out there. Okay, you got Hillary Clinton. She couldn't run her own house, let alone the big house. You know what I'm saying? I cheat on my wife, she'd find out in 2 seconds. This lady needed a cigar aficionado subscription and a dry cleaning receipt to figure that one out. She ain't the smartest tack in the book, I'm gonna tell you. And then you got Bernie. And I kind of like Bernie.
Feel the burn.
I kind of like him. He's talking. I'm like, I like what this guy is saying.
Yes.
I got,
Making sense.
But I got news for you. Look at George W. Bush. Look at Obama. These guys, look at what 8 years does to them in that job. That's a tough job.
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to wear on you.
And the gray hairs, the aging.
Bernie is going to die.
Yes.
In 2 weeks.
Probably.
Bernie is one bad cholesterol reading away from just death.
Yes.
Bernie, he can't go out and play golf. With all, like when they go out and play, oh, look at the president, he's having fun, he's playing golf. One golf stroke, the real stroke is what he's going to get. The big one.
That would be very sad.
He'll be walking with a limp. He looks like the skeleton from Tales from the Crypt.
The Crypt Keeper.
The Crypt Keeper.
Yes.
He does. Remember when the librarian turns into the monster in Ghostbusters? That's going to be Bernie. 2 months. Tops. Ah. Get her, Ray. Look, I smell death on Bernie from here. Camp David. Camp Hospice. He's going to fix our health care. He's on our health care. On the other side of life. You know, we got Bernie, he's knocking on death's door. And we got Rubio. He's living it up, isn't he?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What about these little bubble bath parties he's having?
Oh, there's been some rumors about that. It's not very
It's not very Republican of him,
not
is it?
very Republican at all.
Wow. Who's going to run for as vice president, Mr. Bubble? And then we got Ben Carson.
Yes, Dr. Carson, he's my favorite.
You know,
He's a genuine individual.
he is.
And a fellow doctor.
And I got to tell you, I listened to him,
Yes.
and I like him.
Yes, very likable.
But you know what? I think Washington, D.C. would chew that guy up and spit him out.
Yes, he might be a little too nice.
I just don't think he's built for that town, man.
Not enough teeth in that tiger.
And we're not too far from the D.C. area.
Yes, very close.
We know how it gets down there.
It's
That
dog
guy
eat dog.
That guy better pack a lunch and give all the vegetables to Bernie.
Oh. And then, but there's also Ted Cruz.
Yeah, look, let me tell you something about that guy, all right? And I like that guy. I think he's smart.
Yes, apparently he's a genius.
I'm not a smart guy.
Yes.
And I can respect a man who's a genius.
Yes.
But I don't know if I can have a leader up in the White House that's dancing like P. Diddy when he gets the Holy Ghost up in him every Sunday.